Welcome to the Clean Energy Plan Development webinar. If you have questions or issues, please type them into your chat window and we'll have the host pass them along to us. And the purpose of the webinar is to provide a background on Governor Cooper's EO80 and Clean Energy Plan Directive. We'll explain the stakeholder process, review key dates and locations for public engagement, and share the plan development timeline. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Sushma Mazemore.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sushma Mazemore. I'm going to give you a brief overview of our department's plans for engaging with the public regarding the Clean Energy Plan. Like Sharon said, the purpose of this meeting is just provide information to make sure everyone understands the various techniques that we're using to get public feedback into the process. But to get the background started, we wanted to walk you through what the Executive Order 80 is about and what our department's directive is. So the slide right now shows the Executive Order 80. It basically is a directive that acknowledges leadership in clean energy, technology, innovation, research and development, and the availability of our skilled workforce to support clean energy, economic expansion, and job creation. This is in response to the governor's acknowledgement of climate change impacts to the state and how the state is currently experiencing impacts of climate change and is expected to continue to see the effects of our changing. Clean Energy Plan is one component of the executive order. We're not going to talk a lot about any other things. Our goal here is just to get you guys on the same page as we are and what our process is and what our timeline looks like. The Executive Order 80 sees also an opportunity to produce a smart, resilient, and a modern electric power system while balancing electricity reliability, growth, equity, and environmental health impacts. The link shown on this right here is to the Executive Order 80, and you can look at the various components related to climate change, mitigation, adaptation, resiliency, and the various directives that are outlined for the various cabinet agencies. In the next slide is the discussion related specific to our DEQ directive. Governor Cooper has asked the department to develop a North Carolina clean energy plan that fosters and encourages the use of clean energy resources and innovative technologies. It also asks us to develop the plan that fosters and encourages the integration of these distributed energy resources and innovative technologies to facilitate development of a modern and resilient electric grid. In order to do this, our vision is to collaborate with stakeholders as directed in the executive order. And through these stakeholder processes, we hope to meet the goals of the EO. Specifically, it calls out for increasing the utilization of clean energy technologies, energy efficiency measures, and clean transportation solutions. And we're directed to submit this plan to the governor by October 1, 2019 through our Climate Change Interagency Council. The next slide talks about the Clean Energy Plan development process that our team at the Department of Environmental Quality has developed after almost a month and a half to 2 months of dialogues with a variety of folks throughout the state and with our own partner agencies. Our approach is open and inclusive. We will integrate and plan to listen to all that have a stake in this process. But in order to ultimately come down to some recommendations, the general description or approach is consisted of 3 steps. The first is developing a collective vision, vision building to assess what the current landscape in our state is. The second is looking at the evolving and changing landscape occurring here within the state, but also across our borders, the kind of actions and a kind of technology innovations that are occurring, regulatory, as well as policy changes that are occurring across the state that are enabling the transformation of the power sector. The third step is based on steps 1 and 2, is to develop the actual recommendations. The form of these recommendations can be in the form of policy solutions or options, regulatory recommendations, administrative actions that can be taken either by the governor or the cabinet agencies, and program recommendations that may be taken through the private sector as well as within the state agencies, all geared towards achieving this collective vision that I described that's outlined in the EO. The next slide talks about the actual plan development process in terms of the 4 different public engagement methods that we are pursuing currently. Method 1 is, we titled it Facilitated Workshops. There will be a series of 6 workshops that will be held in Raleigh, North Carolina. The first one will be on February 25th here in Raleigh. This will be facilitated by 2 groups with DEQ, the Regulatory Assistance Project, RAP, and we have more information on our website, and Sharon will walk you through. You can look at who these folks are, and also RMI. Both of these organizations have national recognition in assisting state agencies in having similar dialogues across the country. The model that we're using is similar to various states that were used on the eastern coast as well as western and middle part of the United States. So we are actually very excited about going through this facilitated process. I'll talk a little bit about what these 6 workshops are going to entail, but we are requesting that any interested folks go on our website and submit a request to participate form. The deadline is today. We're going to limit it to the amount of people that the gathering place can accommodate, but we also want to make sure that we have a diverse group of stakeholder participation. And we'll be sending out the invites tomorrow to the selected groups for the workshops. In addition, there's method 2. These are regional listening sessions that will be open to all. And I'll talk about where these locations are planned currently. The method 3 will be combining with existing venues occurring across the state. We have a variety of partners that have approached us, and we have been asking others where different groups of stakeholders will be attending, and we plan on sort of piggybacking behind their existing venue to talk about the Clean Energy Plan as requested by the organizers. And then finally, method 4 will be an online input that will go on from February 25th till July, until when we stop the public input process. The next slide goes into a little bit of details about what the Method 1 facilitated workshops 1 and 2 will entail. Both of these workshops, like I mentioned, is vision building and assessing the current landscape. The 3 questions we'll be asking is, what is North Carolina's vision of a clean energy future? How different is it from the current direction? And how well do current policies, regulatory, and business practices help achieve that vision? And throughout this first workshop, we have invited 6 university and 1 not-for-profit institute to discuss and lay the groundwork for where we are in North Carolina. So we're excited about that and sharing the knowledge of those folks with the audience. The audience will be in the first day, like I said. We'll be going through a series of exercises as well as open dialogue and discussions on what their perspectives are related to their vision of a clean energy future. And then workshop 2, which will be held in April 1, it will be prioritization of these perspectives. The next slide talks about workshops 3 and 4. Here we're looking at the changing landscape, what policy and regulatory trends are influencing how we foster clean energy use. Again, these are set up very similarly. Workshop 3 is going to be more of a detailed, facilitated, setting the stage, getting input. We'll be inviting folks from other parts of the country and also experts here to assist in that process. And then workshop 4 will be prioritization of those shared views. And then finally, workshops 5 and 6 will be geared towards driving at specific recommendations. And I won't get into the details here because we're going to be working out the logistics behind these workshops as time goes by. And then the next slide talks a little bit about method 2. As I mentioned, these are the regional listening sessions. We have identified several cities and rural areas across the state that our staff will be going out in between these workshops. We will do our best to integrate what's happened in these workshops to communicate, but a lot of it is going to be kind of questions that we will ask the audience, an open process in terms of getting their input. We'll be sharing this as time goes by, but Sharon will talk about the website where the locations and times of these listening sessions are currently scheduled, and it will be updated in the coming days. The next slide talks about method 3. Currently, we have scheduled a portion of the 2019 State Energy Conference on April 30th with NC State to discuss EO80 and also the Clean Energy Plan process. We're working with the organizers on how best to integrate and obtain stakeholder input as feasible with their needs. And so that is currently under works. And you can get more information by clicking on this link here. And then finally, method 4 is a continuous public comment period that would go on our website. Sharon will talk a little bit about it, but in the coming days, we'll set up a form for input. You can attach information, you can submit comments as you wish for us to consider in developing our report. And then finally, the last slide talks about what our anticipated timeline is. February through July will be the workshops and listening sessions. The period of June through July, we'll be working with our teams and our agencies and our partners to draft a plan. It's a very tight and aggressive timeline. August is when we expect our draft report to go to public comment. It will be truncated, but we want to provide public enough time to review and submit their thoughts on what we're saying. And then the goal is to present the revised plan for review to the Climate Council at their September meeting in Raleigh for approval, such that we can follow up on October 1st and submit the final plan to the governor. So that's an overall timeline. And the last slide gives you my contact information. I have a whole team of wonderful staff that are helping. There's a lot of stuff that's going behind the scenes. And Sharon Martin is our key person for a lot of the logistical stuff and communication-related items. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to get back with you. And with that, I'm going to stop and let Sharon walk you through the website.
Terrific. And so we will post these slides on the website, which I'll walk you through now. So if you're on the DEQ homepage, the best way to get to the Clean Energy Development Plan process website is to go under Energy and Climate, click Energy Group, and if you scroll down, there's a great big green banner that says Clean Energy Plan Development Process, and you can click Learn More. You can also type in the web address, deq.nc.gov/cleanenergyplan, and we'll include that link in the slides, which of course you'll need to the website to get to the slides. So that's the easiest way to find us. You can also search Clean Energy Plan on the DEQ homepage, and it should take you there. As you can see, the layout of the page is fairly simple. There's a vision statement there, including some topics to be explored and the approach. And then for the stakeholder process, Each of the methods is listed here. This is the additional information that Sushma mentioned for the Regulatory Assistance Project, the Rocky Mountain Institute. The link to the Request to Participate form is here, and as we open those forms for each workshop, they will be posted here as well. There's a list of everyone who's considered a stakeholder. And then for method 2, it's the same thing. You click on the plus sign, and that will open the tab and show you where the regional listening sessions are scheduled, when they're scheduled, and we'll be updating this information as we get further along in the process. Again, with method 3, the State Energy Conference link that Sushma mentioned is there. And then method 4 would be the online input. So we will put a link here for submitting comments when the period opens on the 25th. We'll also occasionally post specific questions that are requesting online responses here as well. And then this is also where the informational webinar from this particular webinar material will live. So we'll post the slides from this session here as well. And again, at the bottom of the page is the anticipated timeline, and we'll add some contact information to this page as well so that you can easily contact me or Sushma. Yeah? All right. And do we have any questions from the participants? But that's a brief overview of both the website and the process. Yes, sure. And just, if you want to fill out the Request to Participate form, it's under each workshop. There's Request to Participate. When you click that, it'll take you to another window. It's a simple form. Fill out first name, last name, and just make sure to hit Submit at the bottom, and we'll get those results. And again, the invitations for that, once we've gone through all the results, that period closes today at 5 p.m. is the deadline to request to participate, and we should have invitations and agendas going out tomorrow. All right, and we are not seeing any questions in the webinar link. So thank you everyone for joining us, and please contact us if you have any additional questions. Thank you.